Ahead and get started, I want to officially welcome you all to our masterclass on 3 secrets to repigmenting your skin that your doctor doesn't know. And we want you all to stay with us right through to the end of this presentation because we're going to give you all a special free offer. It's a free gift for all of you just for coming tonight. So we really appreciate you all coming and we want to reward you for your participation. So stick it out and we're going to give you all a free gift. I'm Jody Franklin. Before we get, and I'm going to I'll reintroduce with Lisa Jackson in just a minute. But I'm the co-founder of Vanishing Vitiligo along with Lisa. And I just briefly wanted to tell you my story, and Lisa will tell you a little bit about hers. But when I was just 25, I woke up one day with a different autoimmune skin disease. I actually had hives all over my body. It's called urticaria. And I went to doctors, and like you, I was told there really wasn't much I could do except maybe take some dangerous medications that would make me dependent on them and also suppress my immune system and make me vulnerable to other autoimmune diseases and perhaps cancer, which was pretty terrifying to me. But I did try some of these medications and had varying degree of success with it. But I actually suffered mercilessly for 20 years with this disease. And it got bad. I actually scratched until I bled every night. My shins literally turned purple and black from all the scratching. I looked very disfigured from it. And it exhausted me. The immune system response just made me so tired. Oftentimes, I'd have to take a nap in the afternoon. I couldn't sleep at night because of all the scratching. I had really dry skin too, and adult acne, and had brain fog. I had these other health issues along with it. And I would say I hit a low point when I was on a dream vacation with my husband and I couldn't even leave the hotel room because my feet were so swollen with hives all over them. But something happened to me in my mid 40s that was really life changing. And what happened is I gained a few vanity pounds, wanted to lose them, and I made some lifestyle changes. And I noticed that my hives didn't bother me as much. And this kind of made me wonder, gee, what else can I do to help change this around? So I researched and researched, read books, listened to podcasts, did as much as I could, and I got a little bit better. And as I was learning and learning. And when I turned 50, I actually went back to school to learn both nutrition and then functional medicine. And I did a lot of lab testing on myself to figure out what my drivers were for my disease. And I found so many different things that I worked on, and I addressed these issues one by one. And lo and behold, my hives went into remission. After suffering for 20 years, I didn't have hives anymore. My energy improved. I started thinking more clearly. My skin got clear, no more acne. I'm hydrated. It wasn't dry anymore. And I can say honestly that I feel better in my 60s now than I did in my 20s. It's been absolutely amazing. And what happened is I started working with clients on skin issues, and someone came to me about 9 years ago with vitiligo. And um, it was very emotional for her. She had had it since she was 8 years old. It covered a great deal of her skin. It really affected her self-esteem. And within 9 months, her skin pigments started coming back rapidly. And it was really exciting. And she posted it on social media. And all of a sudden, I had people worldwide coming to me to help them with their vitiligo. So I've helped dozens and dozens of people at that point. And I teamed up with Lisa, who actually has vitiligo, and she is going to tell you more about that in a second. And we now have a dream team of Lisa, myself, and a team of brilliant practitioners who are all trained at this master's level of functional medicine. We specialize in getting to the root causes of vitiligo and reversing it. And we've worked with hundreds of clients, helping them to heal their skin. So with that, I would like to introduce you to Lisa.
So Jody and I were actually at a functional medicine retreat, and she asked me, have I worked with vitiligo?" And I said, "Well, I put my own vitiligo in remission." And were talking about our desire to do a group program to be able to reach more people um, more cost effectively. So our program really has the benefit of individual health coaching plus group, and as Jody says, we have this dream team now of fabulous practitioners, and everyone's together. We're always learning and growing from one another, and it's been a real joy the last several years running this group together. So I was diagnosed at age 30, was told there was nothing I could do about it. I was married to a physician and went to dermatologists and tried some creams. I wore a lot of heavy makeup. And uh, same with Jody. Uh, Felt some embarrassment. One of my bosses told me that if uh, I needed to have better hygiene,
Mm.
that this was a fungus, and if I just washed my hands, I wouldn't have these white spots all over my hands and my face and my elbows, and and then at the age of 50, my 28-year-old daughter was diagnosed with cancer, and the same cancer that had taken a boyfriend at 19 and my mother-in-law, her grandmother, and they wanted to give her the same chemotherapy. And I said, we've got to look and do something different. It wasn't going to be strike one, strike two, strike three. That didn't work for all of them. So we went to an integrative program, and not only did she get a clean PET scan, but for the first time in 20 years, my vitiligo started to go in remission. We were in Arizona, it was hot, it was in the sun. Uh, Drastically changed diet and lifestyle and started to do the detox protocols that I was doing with my daughter and her cancer treatment. And as a nurse, I had never really witnessed the power of number one, food as medicine, supplements, detoxification. So I was hooked. Went back to school. I was already studying integrative nutrition. Like Jody, got certified in functional medicine, and then got functional diagnostic nutrition and my yoga teacher training, and have never stopped learning since then. That was 15 years ago, and people are surprised at my age. I got rid of my bifocals that I had worn for decades. uh, so I no longer need glasses to read or drive, which was pretty miraculous. Lost 15 pounds I thought I'd never lose. And if we can do this, so can you. And I think that's really the message we want to give um, you tonight, and to show you how to get started.
Absolutely. So, Lisa, did you want to go ahead and tell us, go ahead and give a summary of the agenda there?
So yeah, we're going to talk about what is autoimmunity, and vitiligo is considered an autoimmune disease. And once you have one, you're more likely to get others. My mother has five. So I've seen this firsthand, and we see a lot of this in our clients who come with hidden other autoimmune diseases that we can uncover. We're going to give you the vitiligo basics. We're going to talk about it's not just skin deep, and why it's something not to ignore. We're going to talk about basics of gut health, a lot of give you a lot of discussion on toxins, and then a few things that you can do right now to start minimizing those, and talk about some solutions. And as Jody said, also a special gift.
Wonderful. First, I want to highlight one of our many success stories. This boy's mom actually came to me, and they had been to several doctors, but his vitiligo was actually getting worse. And when we met, she said, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And she dove into my protocol. And really, not only did her son repigment, this is just 6 months progress, you can see his knees, but the entire family benefited. As Lisa was saying, you address the different imbalances in the system and everybody can heal, right? His brother's asthma went away, the other brother's ADHD improved, the parents both had more energy, were off their medications. So it was just amazing. And Lisa, let's show another success story too, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, so Keitan might actually, the mother of this child, might be joining us later today. They are in Nairobi, which is, I think it's like 4 or 5 a.m. right now there. And these are just
Forward, yeah.
pictures that she had taken and sent back to her family in the US over about 18 months. She'll tell the story. We've got, you may have seen her video and discussion, but you can see in March how his pigment started to come in a little darker before it evened out. And so some people, sometimes this can be a diagnosis, melasma or another diagnosis, but that's also part of the healing process that we can go hypo and hyper. So again, and she's had, many hidden stressors and many challenges that we uncovered when he was teased and called a brown cow at
Mhm.
school and devastated. And really, by last summer at the airport, he was going up to a woman who he noticed had vitiligo on her face. And he says, I used to have this and I can help you. And my mother knows what to do to help you reverse this. So, from going from a shy 7-year old who's embarrassed and not wanting to go to school to one that is taking ownership and pride and changing his health for really for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the mom actually, he used to hide behind his mother's leg because he didn't want to show his face. And now, to your point, he comes to our meetings now, and he advises other people. He's just adorable. He's just really come out of his shell. But anyway, let's talk about why, why you and your kid have vitiligo. Um, and oh, do you want to mention
Yeah,
this
I
one
want to talk
too? So I
about
think my numbers
Sophia
are off a
because
little.
Sophia is an adult, had vitiligo for 15 years, and it wasn't until she was diagnosed with a blood cancer that she picked up the phone to call us. And I have a lot of passion, as you know, my story from autoimmunes to cancers, and often they're both chronic diseases. They're both immune dysregulation, and we were able to help her with these basic fundamentals of functional medicine to not only help her get through her cancer treatment, helped her actually change paths when she was it wasn't working quite well for her, and not only get in remission from cancer, but her autoimmune disease too. And this is what she wrote. And Sophia's in Denmark, where it was a little more challenging to be a healthcare advocate for herself. But with coaching, we were able to help her, and it's really so gratifying to see our clients grow and change.
Absolutely. Masuma's asking if Katon's son is completely repigmented yet, and they're still in our program and they're still working on it. But I think with confidence we can say he will likely repigment completely. So, and we see that often. And one of the other practitioners in our practice also has vitiligo and hasn't had any depigmentation in many years. So, you'll always have vitiligo once you get it, but whether or not your skin depigments depends on all the lifestyle things. So let's talk about that now and why vitiligo. Let's talk about why you or your kid have it. And this here is the recipe for getting vitiligo. Okay. So if you have all these things in place or some of these things in place, these triggers, this can definitely trigger vitiligo. And usually it's multifactorial. Usually there's several of these at place that there's some kind of dysfunction in either immune function or lifestyle, food choices, the availability of nutrients, which means you could be eating a great, really healthy diet, but whether or not they're getting digested, absorbed, and into your cells and into your mitochondria depend on a lot of things, depend on digestion, absorption, the microbiome. You can see that's the next one. And then also environmental um, triggers and toxins. And this is something that's really a hallmark of vitiligo. As Lisa was mentioning, that was part of her journey is, in treating cancer and with the toxicity from cancer, she also improved with her vitiligo. So that was a big driver for her as well. And then genetics, obviously, there's a strong genetic component. Some of us in the comments are saying it's me and my kid and my other kid, So there's definitely a genetic predisposition to vitiligo, but whether or not that gene is turned on depends on all these other factors. So you can see, some of these are lit up for some of you. Many of them are lit up for a lot of you. And that's basically the causality of vitiligo.
And
And
sometimes the
go ahead. Yeah, it's
there's
just
a straw that breaks the camel's back.
yeah, exactly. You'll have this perfect storm for the immune system to attack the melanocytes, the skin cells. And that's the ones that produce the pigment and this explosion of inflammation. So those things, that's what basically happens. And that's when you get an autoimmune activation. The drivers for vitiligo in one person can be extremely different from the drivers, what causes vitiligo in another person, but there are definitely similarities as well in terms of the hallmarks. So we really need to peel the onion for each person and sort of put together the puzzle pieces to figure out, address, uncover and address all the different triggers. And unfortunately, if you see by the bottom one, once you get the bottom point there, polyautoimmunity, once you get one autoimmune disease, you are many times more likely to get another. And in fact, in our Vanishing Vitiligo program, about 25% of the people in the program, we have uncovered another autoimmune disease, or they come to us with another autoimmune disease. And to Lisa's point, some of them come to us with cancer because the drivers are similar. So we want to not only help you heal your skin, but also prevent you from getting other health issues.
So let's talk about this body burden and where and how, what it looks like. Foods are increasingly modified, they're refined, they're irradiated, and they're bound to chemicals of all types. Here in the US, we allow about 3,000 chemicals that are not allowed in Europe or outside. You can see these pictures. Some people call this frankenfood or fake food. If you put it in a compost, a lot of this food, in fact, there's a study in California with a McDonald's breakfast, and everybody brought in their breakfast and they put in the compost pile. And a week later, the McDonald's breakfast looked exactly the same. Whereas the eggshells were starting to degrade and the natural things. So if the bugs in the compost pile won't eat the food, the bugs in our gut will not digest it. So toxins are not just in our food, but they're in our air, they're in our water. We're getting them injected in our skin and our skin, and they're pretty ubiquitous. So learning to minimize toxins in air, water, and food is one of the first basic things, and we'll talk about that tonight and what we can do about it. Wanted to share with you another client, Brenda, that we worked with, who had vitiligo as a child. And here's what she says, that she'd been to many of some of the top dermatologists in LA.
First time I saw it, I was about 20. And when I went to see the doctor about it, they had no answers. I've been depigmentating, not depigmentating, depigmentating. All of this was white, and all this is filled in. And so now I'm like using a little more comfortable, because you notice I don't have any makeup around the eyes. I think it's cute now. I see the real difference. The peace is unbelievable to me. Some days I'm like, I didn't know you could have this much peace within yourself.
How much weight have you lost?
I lost about 30 pounds, and you just feel good. You feel really good. I'm sleeping well. I'm sleeping over 7 hours, whereas before, I was doing 5 or 6 and thought I was doing good, and really probably more like 4 or 5. Now I'm going over 7. So all of that, and I understand the importance of all these things have to work in synergy in order to, improve your healing.
You look fantastic.
She does. And let me say this, what she said about the peace really is pretty important, because she came to us with a lot of anxiety too, and that went away. And she said she feels so peaceful now, and really at peace with her skin too. And she continues to repigment, which is lovely. So let's piece the puzzle together. We have to look at the whole picture and determine which labs would make sense for each individual. So here's some of the many advanced lab work that we can facilitate getting for you. No matter where you are in the world, we can work on getting you data if you'd like to pursue that. And then we pinpoint exactly which interventions you may need to put your vitiligo into remission. So these are just some of the different tests that we do. to figure things out. And it's not the type of lab work that you can just go to your doctor and get. This is really advanced lab work. So it's a little different.
So let's go back and talk about food again. And um, many of us have silent food sensitivities. One of the tests that we can do is to test for what foods we're eating. And we all think we have a good diet, and the body will try and maintain homeostasis. So we may not even be aware. These can be hidden stressors. You can see from this picture that there's a healthy gut. The gut lining has these villi, these finger-like projections that keep undigested food in the gut, and only the broken down foods, the amino acids, the glucose, or the essential fatty acids that come into the bloodstream. But when you have an autoimmune disease, you have, and for many reasons, we get these tight junctures get compromised, and undigested food particles can get into the bloodstream. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in the future, but it causes antibodies and inflammation. And all autoimmune diseases start like this. And in the case of vitiligo, the immune system is hyper overreactive, and your skin, the melanocytes in the skin are the culprits, are the victims.
Victims. Yep.
Case. So here's a picture of a one that we can do in Europe, actually, the food sensitivity test. So it's unique, and this changes, and sometimes the food we're eating the most or every day will come out high because it's all leaking through the gut. Doesn't mean that we can never eat these foods again. It just means to calm the immune system down, we need to take a break while we find the root causes of that of what's causing it, other things that might be happening in the gut, and then help you heal the gut to bring it back in. Other things are food additives. We look for yeast and candida. And the common stool test that your doctor orders does not include any of this. It doesn't include H. pylori, the different parasites. It's only ova and parasites is typically, but it doesn't give you the detail of what's going on in your digestive system. Your immunoglobulins that are healthy, your healthy bacteria, we list that, and much more. So here's another child, 7, 8. She actually, her mother was had homeschooled her, and she had older sisters, and she said that this not only changed the daughter's life, but the whole family. And we often will end up helping the whole family. As Jody said, one of our clients had 3 different children with 3 different autoimmune diseases. And we were able to help put them all into remission. But she said she thought we were on a healthy diet before. We all think we have a healthy diet, but is this the right diet for you? And made some lifestyle changes. But it wasn't until I found Vivi that we were able to really zone in on possible root causes, lasting lifestyle changes. So our program is a year longer, with the option of staying on longer, and strengthening the immune system. In Vivi, my family, I learned how to implement a whole new way of eating and living, and really caring about what goes into our bodies. As a family, we've embraced the teachings of Vivi and made it a lifestyle. They're even making their own makeup. So we talk about how the toxins that are in makeup, and the whole family got into it. Which again is so much fun to see.
Amazing. Well, here, let's talk about toxins. I mean, you can get them through the air, which through your lungs, ingesting them via food or water, injecting them transdermally, which means through your skin. To Lisa's point, when you put something on your skin, it can get into your bloodstream. So these are all things that we look at. I don't know if any of you are looking at some of these pictures and saying, I use nail polish remover. I never really thought of it as a toxin, or certain toothpaste and things like that, or candies. You know, we don't really think of sunscreen as a toxin. These are things that we really don't that we use every day, and we don't really think twice about. But we're going to talk about the accumulation of it, and the problem, and everything from food sources, ingredients added like BHT, which are linked to cancer, behavioral issues, or pesticides and other toxins that can lead to reproductive issues. So all these things are toxins. And let's move on and I'll show you autoimmunity. It's estimated that 1 in 10 people has an autoimmune disease, but the incidence keeps increasing because of all the toxicity we have, be it through toxic foods or if you want to move on to the next one, toxic chemicals, hormone disrupting chemicals are wreaking havoc on us. And even our children, I don't know if any of you know, the average age of puberty used to be 16 or 17. That was at the turn of the century, but now it's actually 12 or 13. It keeps dropping. And some girls are even developing breasts at the age of 6 or 7 now. What were you going to say, Lisa?
Yeah, I think in the US it's now 10.
It's come to US is really, anyway, hormones actually modulate our immune system, but you can go on. Toxicity is a major contributor to vitiligo. So just understand that this is something we look at. These 2 studies, you could see there was an eye cream that was causing vitiligo on this woman's eye. There was a glove manufacturing plant where the vast majority of workers actually got vitiligo on their hands from these rubber gloves. There's all kinds of problems. And one of the clients that I worked with was a boy who had gone to a Boy Scout camp and they put mosquito necklaces around their neck, and he actually had a ring of vitiligo the next day around his neck and it spread. So these are things that can contribute. But anyway, this study shows that repeated exposure to specific toxic chemicals is a direct cause of vitiligo.
So this study talks about psoriasis and vitiligo too. Often, as Jody said, the skin disorders can be both autoimmune flares and can be both help together, but the elevated levels of toxic metals and contaminated food is a main source of toxic elements in humans who are not occupationally exposed. So if you're not wearing the rubber gloves, you might get it from the food. Cadmium, lead, and mercury, we can breathe it in the air. We can get it in our water, our food. We are a real advocate of getting good reverse osmosis system for your water. I've got an air purifier here, an air doctor. I'll put some links in because actually there are some Black Friday sales coming early that are the least expensive in for the whole year. And since I am a user and an affiliate, you have a discount that you won't get elsewhere. And the toxin burdens, this was a CDC study over a decade ago that all of the women tested, the umbilical cord had over 250 known toxins for every woman tested going into the baby. So we love to work with people before they want to get pregnant to help them clean up and get rid of the toxins in the body so that we can reverse this. And so we've had actually babies that have come out with vitiligo. We had one mother of 2, and we worked with both of them. So where do they come from? Again, the air, the water, heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides. Glyphosate is now ubiquitous. Roundup, it's been banned in Europe, but not in the US. Secondhand smoke. Alcohol is a toxin, believe it or not, and the liver has to process it first before you can process anything else. Lots of over-the-counter medications, especially thyroid medications. They've got many of the pills too have chemicals, they have dyes in them. They can cause everything from ADHD and anxiety to autoimmunity. We do give you lots of handouts and lots of resources for where you can get clean personal care products, cleaning products. If you've got new furnishing, you're buying a new house or you're building it, you want to air out, and those new car smells and the furniture smells, these are all toxins, especially the fire retardants. They are brominated often. They compete for the thyroid. And we think we see a lot of thyroiditis, either Hashimoto's or Graves, as kind of a gateway autoimmunity. We have a lot, even the kids, which we never saw. We never saw before. I've been in healthcare for over 50 years now, and we're seeing these autoimmune conditions we didn't have. Radiation and another one, 5G, it just multiplies. Mold, heavy metals, dry cleaning, stress. So this is something we help you with step by step. And then more than 80,000 chemicals are approved for use. 62,000 were grandfathered, and their testing is never together. In fact, I wrote a book over 10 years ago where I talked about the lowest dose that's acceptable to not create any disease, and the lowest dose of lead and the lowest dose of mercury. If you put them together, the lowest acceptable dose that's accepted in our food and water and air supply, it killed all the animals because of the synergistic effect. 1 + 1 can equal 4 or 5. We have 4 billion pounds yearly of pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides. And often FDA will only test things for toxicity after washing and only individually. So they don't test this pesticide plus this pesticide or fungicide to see the synergistic effect. So toxicity is a major issue that we help you. And the body, the good news is the body is designed to naturally detoxify itself. So we're giving you some bad news, and then we're telling you that there are ways to help you heal and repair. So as Jody was saying before.
Sorry, that's I had my thing muted, but so what Lisa's saying is true, but this is a bit of a simplified version of it. You have these toxins that come in different ways. We talked about the ways that they come into your body, but in order, your body has to process them. Your liver, different organs can process these toxins, and then it comes out in your urine, your stool, your sweat, and respiration. But the problem is, with all the influx of all these new toxins that are, and these new chemicals that are introduced constantly, your body just can't keep up. And we have a rate of vitiligo that just keeps going up and up now. It's affecting more and more people because our bodies just can't keep up with this toxicity. And now it's spilling out over, and your immune system's taking note. And through molecular mimicry, it's actually attacking your melanocytes. So then we get this whole disease spiral. And what happens is you go from this optimal wellness down to overwhelm and toxicity. Chronic symptoms ensue, and you wind up with a full-blown disease. And so these are the big ways that you're exposed to toxin: through ingestion. So what we eat, right? What we put in our mouth, what we inhale. And this is really a contentious issue nowadays because there's fewer and fewer regulations on industries in terms of pollution. And they're finding that cities that have the most air pollution, like Mexico City, for example, they're finding toxicity in the brains of the kids that live in these cities, where, their future could get vitiligo, or they could get other autoimmune activity, or even Alzheimer's disease because of the toxicity, the neurotoxicity that's happening. It also happens through your skin. Your skin's like a giant mouth. Transdermally, things get right through and get into your bloodstream. So you have to be careful what you put on your skin. And these are things that we cover in our program too, all the ways to what to look out for in terms of exposure, but then how to chelate it and methylate and get it out of your system without making your skin worse. And that's a lot of people, that's a big problem, because people try to detoxify on their own and their skin tends to get a lot worse. So we got to do it carefully and responsibly.
And in the right order.
Absolutely.
And we can talk about that too. So what can you do about it? How do we live a kind of a detox lifestyle? The body does detoxify it naturally, as Jody said, through our breath work and our urine and our stool. So we want to reduce exposure. Air, as I said, I've got back here my air doctor. There's many that will actually, there's a few, there's actually only a handful of air purifiers that will do mold and viruses that are have a ultra HEPA filter small enough. So I did just put a link for that in the chat if you want to check out air. Water too. If you go to ewg.org/tapwater and put in your zip code, you will see all of the toxins that are in your water, plus chloride and fluoride that again compete with the thyroid. So how do we reduce this? We can put it either under the sink or the countertop. I added that. AquaTrue is the one I use in the kitchen and the bathroom. Making sure your sewage is working well, clothing, dry cleaners, furnishing. So we teach you how to do that. And Jody had mentioned sunscreen. Here's a Neutrogena, which we think of as a healthier product with an SPF, but Environmental Working Group also has a guide to safe products and safe sunscreen and safe cosmetics. And this has a rating of a 7 in red, that it has a high allergies and immunotoxicity, and definitely use restrictions. So how many of us are spraying these aerosol sunscreens, thinking we're doing the right thing for our kids, and especially if you have vitiligo, and without knowing that, no, this is causing more damage than good. And here's another one, beware of greenwashing. So you think that Neutrogena sensitive skin sunscreen lotion might be a better choice, right? If you have sensitive skin, you've got, if you're like me, when I had it all over, sun can be itchy and painful. It is moderate for cancer, high for allergies and immunotoxicity, high for developmental and reproductive fertility. And fertility is epidemic. We're passionate about changing that trajectory. And high use restrictions. Do you know this when you're buying this and you're shopping? No. So we really empower you with a lot of education and knowledge, not to overwhelm you, but to empower you, that you can just make some simple choices that can make a huge difference. So here's a few tips. You can screenshot this if you want, but avoid plastics. Plastics are those endocrine disrupting chemicals. They are hormone disrupting, and it's ubiquitous. Don't put your plastics in the dishwasher. Wash them by hand if you are. Store your food in glass with a plastic lid if you want, but don't cook with it. Don't cook with plastic utensils or Teflon. Use minimize microwave use. I got rid of my microwave when my daughter got cancer, and I haven't missed it a bit. Filter your air, filter your water. I put in 2 links to get you started there. Use benign, natural, healthy cleaning products. And Jody is a real expert on that. And we talked a little bit about the off-gassing, the shedding. Don't use these air deodorizers. Oh, another thing that I love is my AromaTrue, which is a diffuser of essential oils. And it's waterless, so it won't get mold. I can put that link in there too if you want. But you know, it's nice. The air fresheners can be really helpful if it's natural essential oils. So it's not like we can't use these things. We just have to upscale and use a healthier version. And don't put anything on your skin that you wouldn't eat. You know, coconut oil, olive oil. These are things that are great for inside and outside. And then
before we move on, Lisa, I'll put the link to some non-toxic products. They're also running a sale for Black Friday and like 35% off, but you can get non-toxic candles and non-toxic cleaning products and non-toxic personal care products. This is what I use and recommend, actually. So
she was very sick before the program, and
so this is one of the mothers of our 12-year-old.
She had no energy, was not gaining weight, was not growing. And since then, she's just like a happy 11-year-old, almost 12 years old. And she is just putting on some weight. She was depigmenting before rapidly, and now it has stopped. And she's probably gotten about 50% of her pigmentation back. It's been really life transforming, not just for her, but for the entire family. We learned so much about diet, nutrition. It really was hard for me, especially being her mom, when I first started noticing and got the diagnosis that she had vitiligo. But really, if I look at it in all perspective, it really has been a blessing for us. I've learned so much myself on brands to avoid, supplements. Annika has been improving so much more. She is like, yeah, a completely different child. I feel like this is just the beginning, that she's gonna get to a place where, and not only is she gonna repigment completely, but that she's gonna just, it is gonna teach her to be a healthier person for the rest of her life. It's been amazing. It really has been like transforming for the entire family. We're very thankful for the entire group.
And I think she is 100% at this point, or she's pretty close to that video was done a little while back. But
Yeah, she's finished our program
yeah.
and helped her older daughter, helped her mother, helped her sister. The things that she learned was there's definitely a ripple effect with her.
Mhm. Well, let's talk about some of the labs. These are some of the labs we use to look at toxicity specifically. So you could see we can test heavy metals, radioactive compounds. You'd be surprised how much we find with that. Molds, mycotoxins, environmental toxins, and PFAS. So we actually can test these if you're interested in getting that testing done. And here's a participant, a boy that we worked with who you could see his test results. And this is a family that was really, really cautious about the toxicity that they, the products they use, things like that. And you could see how much came out. There's some heavy metals, there's some molds, there's some environmental toxins in there. And what's in the red on the right is really kind of scary. This is a little boy. I mean, over time, adults accrue a lot more toxins, but kids have it. And to Lisa's point, we have babies born with vitiligo, and it's because of this toxicity piece. And then on the next slide, if you look, this is a different client, but a before and after case. So on the left, you could see all the toxins that came up. And what was really scary is about the fifth one down, you see bisphenol A, that's BPA. And this is a woman who doesn't use plastic. And she had just off the chart levels. You want the BPA under, I think that's 4. It's hard to read from here, but it was at 18. And then glyphosate, Lisa spoke about earlier, 2 down from that. It was, you want to be below 1. She was at 28. So you could see how much toxicity there was. And this interferes with her ability to detox from other toxins, both of those. So, and then you look on the right, 6 months later, you could see on in the light blue where the markers were. And some of them aren't even on there on the right side anymore because they went down to the green, so they don't even show up anymore. But you could see the BPA went down to 3 from almost 19. The glyphosate went from 28 down to 4, and so many other things. Now we still have a little work to do, but this is only about 5 or 6 months of progress, and you could see how much progress we make in terms of detoxifying. So this is not only protecting her from any other autoimmune diseases, but also cancer.
So let's talk a little bit about gut health. As Hippocrates says, all disease begins in the gut. It actually begins in the mouth as part of the gastrointestinal tract. And 60 to 80% of our immune system is in the gastrointestinal tract, starting from the mouth all the way down. And it is there to survey, is this friend or foe? And then to be able to alert the immune system to attack it if it is a foreign body. And I showed you before that picture of that leaky gut. That's what happens is the immune system mistakes the food we're eating as a foreign body. It also helps break down food to provide the nutrients that we need to rebuild and make new tissue. So if you have constipation, diarrhea, gas, bloating, any symptoms, or a lot of times we have people with autoimmune disease that don't have any outwardly symptoms, but there's a lot going on, hidden stressors in the gut. If it's suboptimal, you really cannot be healthy. So the consequences of poor digestion, a lot of people have GERD. GERD is a fancy word for indigestion, but for eating the wrong food or not having enough digestive juices or stomach acid or digestive enzymes to effectively break down and assimilate our food. But this is autoimmunity, vitiligo, skin issues, as Jody said, psoriasis, eczema, hives, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndromes. These are new diagnoses, relatively new. We didn't have this. In fact, when I graduated from nursing school in 1981, there were 5 autoimmune diseases, really rheumatoid arthritis, MS. Now there are close to 200. Every day we're getting more because of this increasing toxic load we have, arthritis, cancer, depression, asthma, and allergies. Asthma did not used to be the life-threatening disease that it is, and it's all things that we can put into remission.
So let's talk about the microbes in our gut. And this is, again, where our immune cells like to hang out, right? So there is well-published and well-established headlines, I guess, and in research that the microbiome is emerging as a major player in health and disease. And you could read some of these headlines. It affects mental health, immunity, even autism risk. So really big player. Okay. And so the gut has good guys and bad guys, okay? And there's good, what are called commensal bacteria. Those are 1 cell thick. I'm sorry, the 1 cell thick gut lining has a mucosa layer, and these good commensal bacteria actually protect that 1 cell thick layer. And the bad bacteria can contribute to things like leaky gut and autoimmunity like vitiligo, right? But what can happen is the good guys, these good bacteria, can become dysfunctional as well when they're overgrown. So we have that. The balance is just the key. And we're going to go through all this, but there's other common culprits here for vitiligo specifically. We have overgrown good bacteria. Candida albicans is very common in vitiligo. And in fact, 1 dose of antibiotics can set up a candida overgrowth. So that's something we look for. And then you could see these potential pathogens and pathogenic species. H. pylori is supposed to be in your gut, but it's rampant in vitiligo. We uncover it in so many cases, an overgrowth of too much H. pylori, which can get in the way of digesting and absorbing good nutrients. And then we have others that you could see here: E. coli, Pseudomonas, Klebsiella, staph, and strep. Those are very common. We've tested hundreds of clients, and we found high levels of many of those bacteria in the stool sample. And then parasites. Parasites are rampant. Actually, I just want to mention, I met with somebody today, and not 1, not 2 species of parasites, but 3 species of parasites, like just taking over the gut. And that can really trigger the immune system. But anyway, what damages it? These are the big culprits: the SAD, the standard American diet, taking medications. We talked about antibiotics, but even birth control pills can damage the gut lining. Everyday over-the-counter medications like painkillers can really damage the microbiome and the gut lining. Caffeine, alcohol, Lisa talked about stress. And we're not saying you have to stop everything, by the way. This is just, we're giving you the culprits, and we come up with an individualized program. So please don't get overwhelmed with all this. But sleep is really, really critical to healing as well. So that's one of the things. If someone's not sleeping well in our program, we actually work with them on sleep. That's something we address first. Cesarean births, unfortunately, the baby is not inoculated with good bacteria from the mom's vaginal canal. So that can actually set you up, both that and being fed formula instead of breast milk, unfortunately, can also set a baby up for more autoimmune activation. And then toxins, we already talked about, but all these things can damage the microbiome and set up for autoimmunity.
Or what's commonly called as leaky gut, intestinal permeability. And it used to be this was kind of a woo-woo in the conventional medicine when people talked about leaky gut. We now know there's over 11,000 mentions of this in PubMed, National Library of Medicine, NIH's database of that has double-blind studies to prove what we're talking about. But it causes these holes in the lining of the small intestine and needs to be repaired. And here are, again, we often see polyautoimmunity. We'll have somebody come in with thyroid issues or Crohn's, vitiligo, MS, rheumatoid arthritis, ulcerative colitis, psoriasis, Raynaud's, where you've got peripheral neuropathy, Hashimoto's, any of these, they can all be stopped and even reversed. So what we want to talk about is the fact that everybody is unique in the individual, as Jody says. We look at your own case. We teach you how to be your own health detective. And together and with our team, we are the detectives and we put the puzzle pieces together. What are the triggers? What are the stressors? And most importantly, what can we do to reverse it? The stool testing is probably the number one thing that gives us a lot of clues in the beginning. If we want to really personalize a plan for you, we can do this. And that's the beauty of our full program. We have individual coaching and testing with it. And as we mentioned earlier, it will list pathogens, the microbial balance of the good guys and the bad guys. Are there too many bad guys, not enough good guys? How do we raise the good guys? Do you have, are your stools floating? Are they fatty? Are you not absorbing your fats? If you can't absorb your fats, you can't absorb your vitamin A and D and E and K, which are really important for your immune system, as well as your gut health and your skin health. So all the epithelial linings and the lung, the guts, and the skin, really important to have those right nutrients. We can't tell you all the things we want to on this 1 hour call. We want to leave time for some Q&A, but it gives us information on the digestion, the inflammatory markers, and a lot of autoimmune triggers. This is one of the tests we do. You can see there's some H. pylori. It tells the good bacteria. These are some of the major, you may have heard of E. coli or C. diff or Giardia. This will pinpoint all of these. So it's one of many tests that we can offer for you.
Right. And I'd like you all to meet Bruce. He's a client who came to me a long time ago, but was feeling really awful when we first met. And to Katon's point in the comments, welcome, Katon, her son didn't have any symptoms. So it's not as if everybody has other symptoms, but he had vitiligo. And you can see on the left, he had some hyperpigmentation and depigmentation. You can see the top left. It's kind of hard to see that picture. But working with me, he was 50% better after the program. And then he reached out to me a few years later about something unrelated. And I asked him how he was doing, and he said he was over 80% repigmented at that point. And, you know, he continues to work at it. So you could see the difference in his skin, though. The hyperpigmentation's gone. It just looks so much more even. So the big picture for you all is we want to maximize the good stuff, put in what's good for your unique body and soul and everything. We want to minimize and take out the harmful toxins and the infections and the allergens and the stress and all that stuff. And then we want to prioritize and just get out of the way and allow your body to heal. And it will heal when you do all these things. But when you try to figure it out, it's a lot. And I know so many people come to us that are so educated already. Even Kaitan, who I'm going to introduce in just a minute, is a Chinese medicine doctor. And she knew so much and was taking her son to specialists all around the world and researching and doing as much as she could, but he was actually getting worse. And going through our program, she said, changed everything. And I'm going to let her speak in her own words about it. But I did want to also mention before we do that about the free gift and what we're offering. So take a look here. And Lisa, perhaps you could grab that link and put it in the chat as well, in case they don't have the camera handy. But you can actually book a mini consultation with us. Oops, you can go back there. There we go. And this is only going to be available between now and November 30th. And you're also going to get a coupon during this mini consultation for $1,000 off our program. We are also going to be offering a lower priced program that you can participate in if the full program's too much of an investment for you. So you'll be getting a special offer that makes it super easy for you to get started. Um, I would love to work with all of you if you're interested. We've worked with hundreds of people. Our team meets every week all together and we go through the client cases together. So we want to ensure that every one of you is getting results. And that's why we are all dedicated, and really it's such a joy to work with people. And throughout our program, actually, Lisa, if you could unshare for just a sec, I want to just share with you what the program entails in case any of you are interested. And the mini consultation's free either way, but this is our specialty, this is our passion, and we would love to help you. But it's not a band-aid approach. We get to the root causes instead of putting on a medication that can be harmful. We're actually helping you achieve real results. It's a personalized protocol and it's evidence-based. Our practitioners have incredible training. It's not a 5-day course like a lot of people take for functional medicine and call themselves functional practitioners, not throwing anyone under the bus, because functional medicine is great training, but we've all been studying a minimum of 5 years. And I actually teach at the school where we learn functional medicine. We're all in elite graduates of the school, and I teach practitioners that are stuck on patient cases can come to me. So I have my eyes and Lisa has her eyes on every single case. And so you can be assured that we're going to do everything we can to help you get results. So collectively, we have more experience in functional medicine with vitiligo than anyone on the planet. And there's 2 programs we're going to be offering for a limited time. One of them is they both include, let me say this, they both include dozens of modules. And we recommend you listen to one per week and you get little homework assignments. They're about an hour and an hour and 20 minutes, or an hour to an hour and 15 minutes each. And you just do the homework as you're going. So it comes in steps, so you can really get bite-sized pieces of what to do instead of being overwhelmed with all the steps at once. So it makes it easy for everybody in the program to get results. And then we meet live twice a month also. So and you can ask questions, get answers, get to know the people in the group. They're all recorded. If you can't make it live, that's fine. And we all are there to support you. And the people are lovely in the group. People are always like, oh, I don't want to do group. But actually, my friend James Maskell wrote a book about healing in a community. And he found in studies that people heal 80% better when they're in a community than they would on their own, which is just incredible. So that's part of why our program is so successful. You also get, both programs also include the private community support. So this is a feed within our portal. It's almost like a Facebook page within our portal. So it's private, no one else can see it. It's HIPAA compliant, but you can ask questions, get answers, and look up previously asked questions. So we're always there to support you. Our team is on there answering questions every day. So all our programs, both of our programs include all that. And then the difference is our full classic Vanishing Vitiligo program includes the individual sessions. So you get about 10 visits with a practitioner. We do a comprehensive case review. It's very customized using the labs. And we make very customized recommendations and personalized support. And it also includes wholesale costs on lab work. So I won't go through the pricing now. If any of you want to go to vanishingvitiligo.com, the pricing's on there, but you're going to get $1,000 off. And also the special offer, which makes it super easy to get started. It's less than half the price of the classic program. So I just wanted to explain that all to you all. And if any of you want to join the program, no pressure either way, but we do want to offer, Lisa, if you could bring that slide up again, just to give everybody the free code. You could just snap that picture there, and you can't get, I don't know if you got the link in the chat. Oh, I think you did. Okay, that big link in there. Let me see if it comes up. Yes, and you can book your mini consultation right there. They do fill up quickly, and we like to do it before the end of the month because the $1,000 off, we're only offering till the end of the month, and this we're only offering until the end of the month. So please try to get in there. And while you're snapping that picture and setting that up, I'd like Katon to come on if she could, and maybe you could unshare the picture at this point. And I don't know if Katon, if it's possible, are you on as a panelist or you're not? I don't know if she is. I might have to give you the panelist link to get on. Ah, she may not be able to come on. I apologize. Let me see.
So I will read for those what Ketan has said as a parent in the program while you're working on that. What I can say is that you cannot see these toxins. It's not obvious. That's why we call them hidden stressors, by the way. Thanks to the program, you learn how to be more media literacy and discernment about what to choose. Oh, here she comes. And as Lisa's
Get on.
saying, our 8-year-old didn't have any symptoms. It was a silent storm on the inside and new white spots on his skin on the outside.
Masuma's asking, are the tests covered by insurance? And the answer is, unfortunately, they're not. Some of the blood work might be, so we can certainly give you the markers if you want to take them back to your practitioner to get them covered. But unfortunately, these are not covered by insurance, but we do give you wholesale pricing on it, so there's no markup on it. Katon, can you speak at all? I don't know if you're on
Yeah.
now.
Can you hear me?
We sure can. Hello, nice to
Super.
see you. I know
Hi.
it's so bright and early there,
Yeah, it's about,
but thank you so much for joining us.
oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. And I have to say, hearing this presentation, my goodness, took me back to that time when I didn't know what to do. So I remember visiting one of your webinars or being a participant and thinking, oh my gosh, there's like a string that you can, kind of connect all the dots to. Is it possible? There can't be. I've tried it all. I've looked all over the world. This can't be real. And then I remember going to the Vanishing Vitiligo website and thinking, okay.
Oh, are you there still?
Yep,
I
I'm
tried,
still there.
I
Oh
tried,
my
you just cut
gosh,
out
the
for a second. I
call, it's
tried to
all
get
too
you on
good to
as a
be.
panelist, but
Can you still hear me?
we
Yeah.
can. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it seems like it's possible. Okay, we have to do this. But I feel the word that keeps coming to mind right now is puzzle. It was like somebody gave me all these puzzle pieces through my son, but I
Mhm.
had no idea what to do with them. And, a lot of the points that both Jody and Lisa are raising are basically telling you that, the puzzle is still yours, but they give you the picture, they give you the box that it belongs in, and they teach you about how to put that puzzle together. And I'm at the other end now. I'm on the other end of the tunnel. I saw the light. Our son repigments, there's new brown on his body every single day. And my son, I think one of those toxin tests may have been Zubin, actually, my son, I think the 8-year-old. And I think he had toxicity in almost every single category: environmental, household, every category on the Vibrant test. So, and if I may say, unfortunately, we still live in a house with mold. My nose sounds a little stuffed right now, and we're still depigmenting. We're not saying you should stay in a moldy house, but I'm saying that if the body is strong and, the liver is detoxing well, and you have practitioners that are knowledgeable and know how to handle these situations, for a short amount of time until we move, you can live strong and live well. And this vitiligo thing no longer becomes like the primary issue. It's the house, but the child and we are all, on the healing path. And I think as the video showed with Grace and Annika, this program we thought was for our son. It's not for just the individual with vitiligo. It's for everyone. It's a family thing, and it's taken our family and the way we eat and the way we think about, personal care products, cleaning products. We think about the air we breathe. Like we've all got an upgrade from this. So be ready for an amazing surprise for all of you living better through a program that was meant for, or a portal that was meant for someone with vitiligo.
And
So
I'll
I
say
can
also, Ketan, thank you
roses.
for that, that I
Yeah.
know personally with my own health journey, I was trying to figure it all out on my own.
Ugh,
And I wish I had
worst.
met someone like myself,
Yes.
when I was in my 20s, because I would have saved years of suffering. And I didn't put everything into remission until I had the data, until I had all the information. And I think
Yeah.
what surprised you about the program, I think I remember you saying to me, is that there's so much to it. And you were
Yep.
just like, you thought it was just going to be this little thing. And then you realized, oh my gosh, there's so much more to this. Tell us about that. Like, what surprised you about the program the most,
Yeah.
would you say?
I mean, I was biohacking for a couple of years. I was on Facebook, someone, and I'm still on all these groups. They're like, oh, I've got berberine now. Oh, vitamin D. Oh, this. And I typically respond that, wait a minute, it's not that. It's stepwise. I learned that through the modules. These modules that both Jody and Lisa have mentioned are gold. I mean, I've downloaded all of the documents, I've printed them all off, but I go back to the modules over and over again because there you can make a laundry list of all the things that have to be addressed, but you can't just address them willy-nilly. You can't just say, okay, now I'm going to do Vit D. I tried that. I had my son on ginkgo biloba. Nothing was working. And in fact, when you take this kind of piecemeal approach, at least we saw more depigmentation. So that's not the way to go. You really need practitioners to drive this vehicle, and you need to be sitting next to the practitioner, taking copious notes and learning. Because when you see the brown spots going away, excuse me, when you see the white spots get shrinking and the brown coming in, you realize that the approach that Jody, Lisa, and their team of practitioners is taking actually, yeah, there's my son, actually makes a difference. You can see where we started, and it was scary. And our son would go to school and he would come home and say, Mama, today they called me a brown cow with white spots. And then 2 weeks later, oh, Mama, this week I'm a white cow with brown spots. It was the hits. It was awful. But with the stepwise approach that is very specific, based in research, steeped in functional medicine, and gut health science, you can actually achieve incredible results. And you can see where we were in July, and we're doing even better than the July picture. I'm going to have to update this because we've started a few new, as the body gets stronger, you can even be introduced to new supplements. So we're on some stronger, mold detoxification stuff. And he is thriving. He was tired. He was having trouble in school. We didn't understand it. We just thought, okay, maybe this is just his personality at this age. But oh my gosh, he plays the electric guitar now. He's like the captain of his badminton team at the age of 9. I didn't know that my son was capable of the things that he's doing now, and it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't met Vanishing Vitiligo. So
Yeah. Thanks so
yeah,
much for
it's
that. We
it's
appreciate it.
massive. It's multifactorial. Please don't try to be the practitioner. With the support of this group and the community on that's like the Facebook portal, you actually get to enjoy the process unfold once you know what to do, because it is hell trying to figure it out using, the medical medium and whatever else is out there. It's not worth it. You want to be
Right.
happy. You don't want to live in stress. You want to live in a better space,
Right.
which we
Yeah.
do now.
Yeah. And
So
I appreciate that. And I know you were skeptical at first too. I
I
remember
was.
really
I was.
skeptical, like you were giving me the third degree when we first spoke. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
We
yeah.
had 2 discovery calls. I called you and then my husband called because he
Yeah,
was
I
like, wait a
remember
minute,
that.
there's nothing out there. We've tried it all.
Yeah.
Homeopathy, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, biohacking, a couple of blogs that people had who were trying to help their vitiligo. Over 30 years, they saw repigmentation. I don't have 30 years. I wanted this done in, under 5, and we're pretty close. We're getting there.
Yeah.
So
Good for you.
yeah,
And
thank you guys. I
Katon's
don't know what
like,
to say.
Katon's been so inspired that she's actually going back to school and learning functional medicine
I
herself to
am.
hopefully become a member of our team at some point. So that'll
Yes,
be
that's the
wonderful. But
goal.
when you book a call, you're going to have an option to book with Katon as well. If any of you want to talk to her, and some of the hours might work better, we're going to add more hours in those slots. But Lisa, maybe you can bring up the QR code. Someone was asking to bring it up again, and the link is in the chat too. if for those of you who want to do it. I know there's people asking about the test included in our program. Unfortunately, they're not included, but like I said, they get wholesale costs on the test. I know traditional functional medicine people will come to me and tell me they paid, thousands of dollars for all these labs, and I look at the wholesale cost and it's much less. So we don't upcharge it at all. We just charge you what we would pay for them. Uh, so so
And
anyway, the mini consult. Oh, sorry, Lisa, were you going to say something?
yeah, I was just gonna say, people are asking specifics about like testing, and if you schedule the mini consult, then can really speak more specifically about what you might need and what we might expect as far as
Yeah. When
tests.
when you book the mini consult, we're going to ask you some questions. Definitely fill out the mini questionnaire because it will help us hit the ground running with you and tell you what's possible and what maybe some of the drivers are for your or your kids' vitiligo. We can see just in what you're saying there what might be at play and give you some pointers on what to do about that as well. So we hope you decide to do it. It can be real helpful just to kind of put things in perspective and see what's going on. And we can also give you that $1,000 off if you decide to do the program. Uh, okay. So anyway, I want to thank you all for joining us. Keep the questions coming if there's any more if there's any more questions about the program or about anything else, but definitely do book those calls. Is everyone able to make the mini consult? Is anyone having any issues? Last time we did this, we ran out of spots. So uh so we're gonna
And to book them early. I know I don't have anything this week, next week. I've tried to make some space. So how did the 80-year-old, Ketan, how did your son do with removing the toxic food? Was it only done in the household, or did he change his diet even outside the house at birthday parties? This is always a big concern with parents
Yeah.
and
I
uh,
mean,
fears. And were there ever any cheat days for him?
Yeah, I mean, let me just say this, it's not easy, and you don't want to start pulling things out like right away, right? Like this is just psychologically hard as it is. So we just did it very slowly. And remember, you have constant support from the team. There is a group live feed where you can ask your questions. So honest to God, I was on that live feed every day, as often as possible, saying, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? You have your one-on-one calls if you pick a particular program, the classical program. So, I mean, there's just so much support. But yeah, I probably made a few mistakes and pulled some things out. And I remember my son having tears. And then, you learn more from the modules. And of course, it tells you something like, well, make sure you find, here's how you might replace flour with some other kind of flour, or here's how you would move over from I don't know, a particular food to something healthier, and you slowly make the changes. But let me be honest. I mean, this is not for the faint at heart. You're going to get in there and get your hands dirty, and you're going to work hard, and you're going to see a beautiful outcome in doing so. So, I'm in the program now, but I'm also like kind of a knowledgeable parent in the program. So we have like 60 plus, maybe 70 people in the feed right now. It's just grown so much. It must have tripled in size over the last year or so. But I get to give advice now. It's the greatest thing is that, I moved from that place of, oh my God, what am I going to do? And overwhelm to, hey, wait a minute, take a breath. You can do this. There are so many options. And then, we all feed off of each other's options. It's amazing, and we share recipes, we share tears, we share, wins. It's amazing. And, the program lasts for a year and you can continue with it. I'm not leaving this space because this is the best way to support a family member that, and a family that is, dealing with all of these drivers. So you guys are stuck with us. And we're very happy about that.
yeah. And we're not the cheapest option out there, but a lot of the work goes behind the scenes that you're not seeing. There's been a tremendous amount of work putting this program together. We're always doing more research on vitiligo. We always are discussing the research and coming up with new solutions and new hacks and new things that you can do to improve it. But the basic program, the modules have everything you need within it to stop the depigmentation, start repigmenting your skin. And if you go with our classic program, if that's affordable for you, you get all the lab work and the personalized recommendations and everything else. So some people start with just the basic program, and then you can upgrade to the one with the labs. So find what's affordable. We're making it affordable for everyone at an entry level. So so we're hoping that we have a lot more people to come in, because we know how devastating it can be. But I would say in our program, we have about a third of the participants are parents with children that have vitiligo. So you'll be in good company if it's your kid, and we have lots of solutions in there. And then there's a lot of people from all over the world, and um, India has 3 times the rate of vitiligo of anywhere else. So we have a lot of people of Southeast Asian descent. A lot of them are living in the US. So it's just a really eclectic, interesting group of people. We have people all over Europe, all over just about anywhere, Africa, everywhere in the program. And it's just a wonderful it's a wonderful supportive community. And we just love it. You know, if you're looking to, you know, if if your kid's got vitiligo or you have vitiligo, it's not a life sentence. It doesn't have to be. And in fact, I have a guy who called me today, and I haven't spoke to him in years. And he went through the it wasn't vanishing vitiligo back then. We didn't have the program, but he worked with me on his vitiligo. And now he's got a little bit of male pattern baldness. And he wants me to help him with that. And I asked him how his skin, he says, you wouldn't believe it. He says, all these years, I'm still repigmented. I feel great. He says, I'm still staying with the protocol, and he's doing great. And actually, I looked at him and I said, how old are you now? He told me 52. I couldn't believe it looking at him. He looked like he was about 40. So it has a lot of benefits. And I know Lisa and I are both in our 60s. Being healthy can improve your looks, improve your health, improve your energy, improve your vision, as it did for Lisa. I don't wear readers either. I think we're like these rare people that don't need readers. What's up with that? So it'll improve so many aspects of your life, and we would love to have you all on board.
And I also want to say that no matter what program you get, you start with my 21-day kickstart to wellness, which is like 100 recipes. So, people are always worried about the food. I have chocolate cake in there. I have chocolate pudding. I have pumpkin pie, nacho cheese dip, So it's not about dieting or deprivation, or my kid can't go to a birthday party. He can take his own little cake. He can take food for everybody to share. And it's real food minus the chemicals and the dyes and the preservatives. And they're delicious. They're really tested and true for the last decade. So we hope this has not been overwhelming. It's actually can be easier than your fear. It can be. And all healing goes like this. We've got the ups and downs, and we meet every 2 weeks as a group. No matter what program you're in, to support one another and motivate one another, and inspire and share our questions and our concerns, as well as our victories.
And then every day we're available for question and answer
yeah.
too. But to Lisa's point, I'm really glad you mentioned the Kickstart to Wellness, because Lisa has been generous enough to throw this in. So starting from day 1, the first 21 days, you get a little video or paragraph or something, a little assignment to really kickstart and jumpstart your wellness. And it's like 21 days, and she sells this program for $300. We're giving it to you free in the program. So it's just like another awesome addition to the program too. And we do have a money back guarantee on our program as well. I don't believe to this date we've had anybody take advantage of that. So so it's pretty amazing. I think with all the people, it's been pretty fabulous. So
Can I just add a little quick thing in here about
yeah,
Kickstart?
please.
You're overwhelmed, you come to the program, you invest your time and money, you've decided to make the investment, you're still not sure this is possible. And then you get this lovely 21-day Kickstart where every day, like Jody's saying, you pick up a little hint, but it also ties into what you're going to do for the vitiligo. It has everything to do with how you're going to then kind of change your lives as a family. So it's bite size and it's very gentle. And we started around Christmas time or just after Christmas. And so it was just a really nice, gentle, toe in the ocean of a very new language that we then started learning and now we can speak. So again, I can't say enough about how great it is to be in this group because it's more than vitiligo. It's so much more than that, and you get it all. So I hope to see many of you in the group soon.
Yeah, Margot just joined us. I don't know if she's been on, but she said she's one of our founders as well of Vanishing Vitiligo. She put together that lovely slide presentation you watched. And she says people in the US are finally waking up about the state of our food and health. The demand for functional medicine is skyrocketing as rates of illness increase. Absolutely. It's we're seeing an unprecedented amount of disease out there. And the good news is it just doesn't have to be that way. Just about everything's reversible, which is just phenomenal. This question here, what if we are already working with a functional medicine practitioner, but want to try this? Do you work with him or her to do some crosstalk? I've seen some tests that you showed that my practitioner hasn't mentioned yet. Yes, absolutely. In fact, we have a lot of people that come to us after they've already been working with a functional practitioner because not everybody really gets vitiligo, and that's okay. And working, I think there's several of our participants that have already been working with functional practitioners, but we really specialize in vitiligo and it's a tough one. In fact, I went to a convention where it was about skin and the speaker, she's a functional doctor who was speaking about skin. And somebody asked a question about vitiligo. She says, "Oh, you can't reverse vitiligo." And somebody said, "Jody, go up there." And she didn't think it was possible to reverse vitiligo, and she had done all these other diseases. But I honestly, I think vitiligo is the hardest to reverse. But we're happy to connect with your practitioner and share notes and things like that. So we definitely welcome collaboration. We work with people's, even primary care practitioners too, to wish for support if they're open to it. So that's great.
Mazuma, look at our video on the vanishingvitiligo.com. We do address the pros and the cons to some of the conventional treatments, the Opzelura being one of them. And so I think that's a good thing to look at. We are coaching you. We are we cannot advise you to go against medical advice. And some people are using these conventional approach as well as our approach, it's complementary. And we have people who've done the Ayurveda or who've gotten, specialists around the world. I have a guy in Prague who has his own functional medicine doctor, and we collaborate. The functional medicine doctor will order the testing in Prague and then send me the results, and he'll give his opinion, and then I'll say agree, but have you thought about this? Or add. And sometimes we don't always agree, and we will be able to talk it over, and that's how we all learn and grow, and it's really fantastic. Somebody else had asked about how do we do testing around the world, and it really varies. It can be quite a challenge. What tests we can find. We can't always find every test. Sometimes we can ship them, but there are European vendors that we work with where we can. So we have had Denmark, Switzerland, Prague, Africa,
Macedonia.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah. We
Yeah.
and we can glean a lot of information from everyday annual physical lab work. Even if your doctor says everything's normal, you would not believe it's almost like a party trick, what we can tell you from those labs, because those reference ranges only show, are within 95% of the population, and it doesn't speak to what else going on behind the scenes of those labs. So we can look at that and tell you so much information from there. And sometimes you don't even need a lot of extra lab work after that. Somebody's asking also, Terry's asking, are the US dermatologists on board with this functional approach? And I would say by and large, most dermatologists don't even know what functional medicine is. And it's not that they're evil. I went to some wonderful practitioners. I went to about 6 different doctors here I'm in the Boston area. And they were very well-meaning people, but the model they're teaching in the med schools is to diagnose and prescribe. And of course, medications can be life-saving. And especially in emergency medicine, they're saving lives, they're doing amazing things. But with these chronic inflammatory dynamics, chronic autoimmune disease, there's not a lot of really good solutions besides suppressing your immune system or giving you medications that have really detrimental side effects. So I know sometimes we've had people that come to us that have been prescribed steroids, and honestly, steroids lower something called a hormone called melanocyte stimulating hormone. What are melanocytes? If it lowers melanocyte stimulating hormone, your melanocytes are going to get worse, right? Your skin can depigment worse. So it's like you're giving someone a steroid that can actually make their vitiligo worse. And you wouldn't believe how many people, I bet we're going to have people in the comments right now saying, oh my gosh, my kid got steroids and got worse. And it's not that they're evil. It's just that maybe they're not, I don't know how to say it, but it's they're trained a certain way and they're not looking at root causes because, unfortunately, I don't have anything against big pharma, but they're funding the medical schools to a huge extent. They're also funding the news stations. So you're not going to hear alternative approaches on the nightly news because the news is being funded largely by big pharma. And it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just fact. It's just business sense. So we need to look at root causes when it comes to these long-term diseases, these long diseases, and just understand that just about any autoimmune disease can be reversed. Unless there's a lot of damage to the tissue. Like let's say you get late stage MS, multiple sclerosis, there's too much damage to the myelin sheath. There's only so much progress you can make, but especially in the early stages, you should be able to reverse it. Even neurodegenerative diseases are reversible. We work with those. Cancer, all these things, just about any autoimmune disease, unless there's too much damage. If there's too much damage to the thyroid, you might have to be on a thyroid medication your whole life. But that doesn't mean we can't bring down the inflammation and prevent other autoimmune diseases. So there's so much we can do. And unfortunately, Western medicine is about 30 years behind. And it's not to diss anybody in Western medicine. We have doctors and nurse practitioners on our staff. And they do both. And there's good and bad about well, I wouldn't say it's bad with functional, but it's good and bad. And I know that these people are well intended, but they just don't have the toolbox. They're not teaching in the schools how to go upstream and look at a person as a whole. They're teaching, if you have pain in your left pinky, they're looking at your joints. They're not looking at your gut, which is where the pain's originating, So we look at the whole picture of what's going on, and we have to address all those different components in order to reverse the disease dynamic. And that's what we do in functional medicine. Lisa, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it's not taught in nursing school or medical school, and I didn't know how to read labs as a registered nurse like I do now. And that's what we do a lot of every day, educating people to help educate their physician. And all of them will say, I don't know what you're doing, but keep on doing it.
And we have a lot of Western medicine practitioners that come to us for help. I'm working with, I think, 3 or 4 different doctors right now.
Yeah.
Because, they know the Western medicine is not working for them. And again, if I got hit by a bus, I'm not going to go drink herb tea. I'm going to go into the emergency room and get taken care of, right? There's definitely, if I have a heart attack, I'm going in, and we would work on prevention of that kind of thing. But if there's an emergency situation, they're wonderful. If there's a body part that needs to be operated on, like I blew out my ACL a decade ago, and they did an amazing job fixing it, and thank God they were available for that. But these long-term diseases are a problem. These chronic diseases they're kind of missing the mark. Is it Alea?
Oh,
is
that-
asking about Dr. Harris over in Worcester, in my state here in Massachusetts. And yeah, he's a Western medicine approach to vitiligo. So, you know, where if you're not looking for a functional approach, you could certainly go to them over there. But it's all, again, it's medication. And if it's for you, there's always drawbacks. This talk, we haven't really gone through the medications and the drawbacks, but if you go to vanishingbitiligo.com and click on the video, watch that video, because we talk a lot about these medications and some of the negative drawbacks to these medications, just so you'll have all the information about what you're using. And I think it's really important to understand the drawbacks of these medications and the side effects and things like that. It's not a root cause resolution that Dr. Harris does. It's a Western medicine approach, and it's just a different approach. We do things completely differently.
we're happy to collaborate and work with them if they're open and
Mhm.
and wanting to.
Yeah, 100%. I think we tried to reach out to them a long time ago just to see
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
if any of their patients wanted to meet with us, but we're
Yeah.
too busy, I think, to kind of
Yeah.
work on collaborating and things like that. But if they're open to it, we'd love to speak with him as well.
And Ketan, I don't know if you want to tell a story of going to one of the guys in Michigan.
Mhm.
She went to a vitiligo
Yeah.
specialist.
I was so funny. I was just thinking of that. So senior dermatologist in Detroit, Michigan, who had a reputation, and my parents are physicians and all their friends are physicians. Everybody said, go to so and so. We went to so and so. He pulled out the wood lamp, made, kind of confirmed the diagnosis of vitiligo. And with my son in the room on the treatment bed, said, you guys are Indian. You really ought to think about moving back to India. There's nothing we can do. Put him on some tacrolimus and some UVB therapy, but he needs to be around other people that are turning white, because then he'll feel normal. I mean, that was my first conversation about vitiligo with anybody. And I left gutted. I felt like I was going to have to go on an antidepressant. I mean, who talks like this in front of a child? Okay, if my kid wasn't in the room, maybe I could have toughed it out. But my poor son was sitting there and listening to this conversation that, my dad and I were having with the doctor. It was awful.
I'm sorry
And
to hear that.
you know what? We didn't have any options then. We did tacrolimus and we did the UVB lamp. And guess what? The day we stopped, a functional medicine nutritionist here in Nairobi said, you can't do this forever. This is dangerous. Everything came back, and I feel like it just bloomed back faster than it had been going without having used these things.
Because you were masking it,
I
right?
mean, it's just a mask. You want to do the Band-Aid, you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to feel better because you're going to see the brown coming in. It takes about 3 weeks of UVB and tacrolimus before the repigmentation comes back really fast. But you know what? There's a storm going on the inside, and you have to do something about it if you want to live the rest of your life well, or you want your child, who has more years to live than, a parent, if you want that child to go out in the world healthy and well and with some real tools and skills to avoid future autoimmune conditions and to keep the vitiligo in remission. And it's
Yeah,
doable. I mean, we're in remission. It's good. We just have a lot of mold in our house, so we have work to do, but it's going really well.
Good for you.
I
I also want to
would.
mention, Ketan, somebody's asking about, I want to mention about the UV therapy, because we're getting some questions on the chat about it. And,
Uh-huh.
UV therapy works, right? But it is
Yes.
a Band-Aid approach. And what
Yep.
we recommend in our program is to wait until we see the skin naturally repigmenting on
Yep.
its own. And
Exactly.
then you can finish it off with the UV treatment. But a lot of people
Exactly.
choose not to do it because, in a way, I mean, I looked at my autoimmune disease, maybe in hindsight now, as a gift, because it allowed me to address all the imbalances in my body that were causing disease.
Mhm.
And I was exhausted from it, but I could tell on my skin what was happening. And now
Yeah.
that I don't get hives anymore, I know if I were to get a hive on my body, I'd know things have gone really wrong. And that there are
Mhm.
things that I need to do to correct it. And I know, Lisa, every once in a while, if you're really stressed out or went on vacation and went off the wagon a little bit, you might get a little depigmentation. And I think you consider it a gift because you need to get back on track, right?
Yeah, Yeah, I had mold and COVID at the same time. Mold and, we talk about mold as one of the hidden stressors, and stress over that was a stressful time in our world history. And yeah, came back and
Um,
okay, let's get back on the bandwagon.
If I can
Absolutely.
just add to what you were saying, Jody, is that the program not only teaches you how to repigment, but let's face it, you know what? My son is going to go to a party and he's going to eat something and he might not even know what's in it. Now, we don't get a white spot immediately. We might get a little, a week or two later. So this program also, you don't freak out when that happens. I don't freak out when that happens because I know what to do. So you're really giving us skills that are not just to look normal again, but how to address a little, blip that comes along. And I have a UVB light here. I have a red light therapy box, but we don't use them. We're not ready to use them. But I live far away, so I have them with me so that when that day comes, we can just, use it when we need to. But yeah, I don't want any band-aids. I've tried them. They don't work. They make things worse when you go off of them. I want the real, the root cause. I want to heal from inside out. And we found that, we found that path. So we're very happy to be on it. And there's nothing to rush. The body heals on its own when it's supposed to and how it's supposed to. My son feels confident again because he sees himself healing and he talks to people now with vitiligo and says like, you have vitiligo, right? If you want to do something about it, you can talk to my mom and me and we can tell you what we do. And so it's very empowering. And that's a really good place to be for yourself, but also for your family and your loved ones to see that. So
I think we're going to end on that. That's wonderful. I'm just putting the link to book with us in the chat one last time. So if you haven't grabbed it yet, be sure to grab that and book a call with us. It's a free mini consultation. It's a $200 value. And you can just get on with us. There's no pressure to do the program at all, but kind of figure out some of the things that you can start on to start reversing your vitiligo. And we hope to see so many of you in there. And please do share the link with any friends of yours who have it, or if you're in any Facebook groups that people are asking about it and they want to meet with us, or we should be sending out a replay of this. We'll put it in our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is called Vanishing Vitiligo. So if you're not already in there, be sure to join because we'll post the replay in there. And we do post tips in there and success stories to keep you motivated as well. So we hope that you join that group. You're welcome. We're getting some love on the chat here, but you're welcome. We're happy to be here for you. And I hope we gave you all some hope. So thank you so much. Take care, everybody.